What's up everyone, this is MHags Art here, back with another bullet journal video. In this one I will be setting up the month of August, and my theme for this month is one of my favorite cartoon series of all time, Gravity Falls. So let's get started. So when I decided to do a Gravity Falls theme, I knew immediately that I wanted the cover page to look like the cover of the iconic journals that are seen throughout the series. In order to really have it look like what I was picturing in my head, I decided to use craft paper. I got this burgundy and gold craft paper and drew on the back of the gold paper the outline for the 6-finger hand that is on the front of all the journals. I also got these letter stamps and thought the serif font would look good with the old-timey journal aesthetic. And I stamp August off center and a little crooked, so I just decided to lean into the crookedness and make all the letters a little wonky. I've talked about this before, but I'm constantly practicing letting go of my perfectionism and just embracing the mistakes, and trust me, I make plenty this month. Speaking of mistakes, you're about to see that I misspelled reality in huge letters. I'm embarrassed to admit how long it took me to realize that I misspelled reality on my quote page. Like, I seriously looked at this thing for probably an hour before noticing. And it's such a bummer too, because I really loved how this quote page turns out, but I attempt to fix the error later. Anyway, my quote for this month, I went with the iconic Bill Cipher quote.
Remember, reality is an illusion, the universe is a hologram. Bye, Gold, bye!
Bill really is such, like, an iconic villain. I just feel like he was so different from anything I'd seen before. Just so, like, purely evil and wacky, so I loved watching him. He's definitely one of my favorite villains of all time. I used just a black fine liner and my gold gel pen to really give it that vintage look, and use the different fonts as well. I didn't use any references, but I felt like what I was picturing in my head was like those vintage posters for fortune tellers or like old tarot cards or something. When I tried doing a Google search after, I couldn't really find anything like what I was picturing, but maybe I'll know what I'm talking about. I also drew a bunch of references from the journals on a piece of paper from my old bullet journal, which was more ivory colored, so it gives it that aged look. And I think it just looks so cool. I wish I could like make copies of it and sell it or something. But I tried to see if it would look good under my quote page, decided against it. The reason I ripped the corner from the quote page is because it is also a page from my old bullet journal. So the page number was, completely wrong, and I didn't want it showing. So I ended up going with a piece from this old book I have. Next up is my calendar page, which I actually decided to make a big calendar page this month. Usually I go for a small one. So here is another mistake I make where I write Monday instead of Sunday. And then, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, but I very clearly sketched a line for another box at the end of the month, but for some reason, when I was doing the black lines, I just decided to ignore it, and therefore shortened August to 30 days instead of 31 days. And then because of that, I proceeded to think for almost the entire setup that August only has 30 days, and it's a hot mess, y'all. I don't know why I didn't double check a real calendar, but, here we are. We're just going to pretend that August only has 30 days, because by the time I realized it, it was too late to fix it. Here's also a helpful tip. You can use gel pens on your stamps. That way you don't have to buy like a million ink pads of a million colors. Then my next mistake was I tried to freehand August at the top, and it turns out kind of ugly, and I even end up redoing the G just because I hated it so much. But then later I add a bunch of stars and stuff around it, and it doesn't look so bad. In the corner, I add torn pieces of craft paper the old book and a corner from the paper I showed before with all the journal doodles on it. Even though I had such a strong vision for the cover page and quote page, I really had no idea how I wanted the rest of the pages to look besides having these torn pieces of paper in the corners. So my advice is always have a color scheme to kind of fall back on, because you'll see I kind of experiment and struggle to figure out what I want the calendar page to look like. But then I remember I had this Tombow dual brush pen that was a really similar color to the cover page. So I believe that kind of helped tie everything together and made everything look a lot more cohesive with the cover page and just the rest of the spreads in general, since we have that color scheme now. Then it was finally time to move on to my habit tracker. I knew I wanted to track 10 habits this month, which is a lot, so I was going to have this like kind of column of space on the side. So I thought that was a perfect spot for the water tower from the theme song. And I stuck with the previously established color scheme because even though it's not true to the actual water tower from the opening, I felt like if I colored it differently, it would just stick out and not in a good way. Then I used the gold gel pen again to stamp habits, colored in the water tower, and drew some more stars around the header. Something new I'm trying this month is a sleep tracker, and you can see here I actually remember that there's 31 days in August, so that's an improvement. Anyway, my sleep schedule is kind of garbage right now, and it needs to get better before I start school again. I've always been curious to see if how much sleep I get affects my mood for the day, so I wanted to track my sleep and mood side by side. For my mood tracker, I came up with the cute idea to draw different symbols related to each of the main characters depending on my mood, so it's a little more exciting than just coloring something in every day. Next up are my weekly spreads, which I kept pretty simple with an area for rolling to-do lists each week, and then also a spot for events that are going on, and also a meal planning tracker. I used the space for a meal planning in July, and actually found it was super useful, so I wanted to include a space for that again in August. For the corners of each of my weeklies, I glued down more torn pieces of paper, like it's torn right out of Stanford's journals. So I actually recently just finished rewatching Gravity Falls for like the 5th time, and it blows my mind every time, honestly. It's just such an amazing show. It's so well written, and it's actually like really, really funny. Like a lot of the jokes are exactly my type of humor, and I just love it. I also love that all the main characters are normal people without any magical powers or like superpowers of any kind. I feel like that can actually be kind of rare for cartoons nowadays, especially children's cartoons. And the show just perfectly captures that feeling you get as a kid about summer, so whenever I watch it, the nostalgia is real. Then, as always, I make space to write down my favorite things about the TV show or movie that I have for that month. Space to write down what media I consumed that month. And then instead of a monthly to-do list, I decided to put a space for gratitude here. I was finding that my monthly to-do list would just go ignored most of the time, so... For my final 2 spreads, I am making a yearly goals review where I'll be analyzing and reevaluating my goals that I set at the beginning of the year, and then my monthly review page, which I like to include every month. Last time I evaluated my goals for 2021 was 4 months ago, so I figured since it's been another 4 months and the year is 2/3 the way over, it would be a good time to look at them again. So I start to write down the goals I haven't completed yet or that I'm still working on, and then I wrote down what my progress on them are. I wanted to do this so I knew what action steps I'd need to start taking to get them done, or how I can change the goal so that I can still complete it before the year is over. Because it's something I'm trying to teach myself that, it's okay if your goals change from the beginning of the year. This year has been really tough on my mental health, so it's okay if I can't accomplish as much as I wanted to. I'm trying to work on being prouder of what I have accomplished rather than focusing on what I haven't. Alright, that completes my setup for August 2021. And here is the final flip through. You can see the shiny gold paper in all its glory. And thank you so much for watching and making it this far into the video. It takes a lot of effort to make these videos, so I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed it, I hope you decide to subscribe, and if you already do, don't forget to leave a comment below and press the like button. It lets the algorithm know that it should recommend my video to more people and help small YouTubers like me grow a larger audience. So thanks again for your support, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.